Carl Jung once said that being born is not enough. We must be reborn again and again throughout life. This rebirth does not happen randomly or without meaning. Rather, it unfolds through deep internal processes that gradually reshape the way we perceive ourselves and the world around us. Often, these transformations take place without us being fully aware of them, at least not right away. Jung spoke of something he called individuation, the journey through which a person sheds what was imposed upon them by society, culture, or upbringing in order to reconnect with their true essence. And this process of inner rebirth doesn't occur just once. It happens many times, at various stages of our existence. Each time it does, it brings with it profound shifts that might initially seem confusing, disorienting, or even painful. There comes a moment when something inside you begins to change. You can't pinpoint exactly when it started, but you can feel it. It's subtle, like a whisper echoing from somewhere deep inside, reminding you that you're no longer the person you once were. But you're not yet who you're meant to become either. It's an odd sensation, like standing between two worlds, the familiar past and the uncertain future. You look in the mirror and see the same face, but something underneath is shifting. It's not visible, yet it's undeniably present. Your thoughts, your emotions, your perspective, they're all being quietly, steadily transformed. This is the beginning of a spiritual rebirth, a deep, often solitary process that takes place just before life offers you a new and unexpected path. One of the first signs of this internal transformation is resistance to change, and the emotional exhaustion that comes with it. It's not that you don't want things to shift. In fact, a part of you knows that change is essential, but another part clings tightly to what's known and familiar. Your mind begins to find excuses, trying to keep you anchored in your current reality, even though you feel it no longer serves you. You might start justifying situations that deep down you know have become toxic or stagnant. Relationships that once nurtured you now feel draining. Habits that once comforted you now seem meaningless. A routine that once offered structure now feels like a prison. And though you try to ignore it, the discomfort only grows. You start feeling a strange kind of tiredness, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally too. It's as if you're carrying an invisible weight that grows heavier with each passing day. What once excited you no longer brings joy. Conversations that once sparked your interest now feel hollow and forced. And deep within, you begin to question everything. Are you truly living the life you want? Or merely the life you thought you were supposed to live? But here's the crucial truth. This inner weariness is not a sign that something is broken inside you. On the contrary, it's the first indication that something within you is awakening. The version of yourself that once fit so neatly into your current life is beginning to fall apart. Not because you've failed, but because you're evolving. And although the uncertainty that comes with change can make you doubt everything, this is the moment where you must trust the process the most. Because this kind of transformation doesn't happen overnight. It begins quietly, in the background of your everyday life. It starts with small signals. The discomfort you feel in places where you once felt at ease, the frustration at situations you used to tolerate, the growing sense that something just doesn't sit right anymore. These subtle signs build up slowly, until eventually they can't be ignored. You try to carry on with your routine. You try to hold on to what's familiar, but something inside of you resists. What once made you feel secure now brings unease. You may find yourself inexplicably drained by environments that used to energize you. Conversations that once felt natural now seem forced or even unbearable. And the strangest part is that you can't quite explain why. You might begin to feel like you're trapped between two versions of yourself, who you've been and who you're becoming. The life you've known still exists, but it no longer fits. And although a new path seems to be calling, it's still unclear, undefined. There are moments when you feel a deep urge to make drastic changes. Yet at the same time, fear grips you. One part of you knows transformation is necessary, while the other can't bear to let go of what's known. This internal tug-of-war can take a toll not just on your emotions, but on your body as well. You may start to experience unexplained fatigue, disrupted sleep, mood swings, or moments of deep introspection that you can't quite put into words. You may feel distant from the people around you, not because there's been conflict, but because something inside of you no longer resonates with them the way it once did. Even your perception of time begins to shift. Days might drag on endlessly or pass in the blink of an eye, leaving you feeling like nothing meaningful is happening, even though something profound is taking place beneath the surface. On the outside, everything might appear the same, but internally, your soul is moving, stirring, transforming. This is when many people instinctively cling even harder to what they know. They seek distractions, immerse themselves in work, busy themselves with obligations, anything to avoid the discomfort. They push forward without asking too many questions, hoping the feeling will go away. But no matter how much you try to suppress it, that emptiness persists. It lingers as a quiet reminder that something no longer fits and that something greater is waiting to be discovered. The key in this moment is not to fight the discomfort, but to listen to it, to realize that this feeling of emotional fatigue and inner conflict is not a problem to be fixed, but a message, a signal that it's time to evolve. This is your inner voice calling you forward. It's telling you that you can't stay where you are, that it's time to let go of fear, to surrender to the unknown, and to trust that even if you don't yet understand where you're headed, this process is leading you toward a truer, more authentic version of yourself. The second internal transformation, the breaking away from everything that once defined you. After that first inner shift, where the cracks began to form in your old worldview, something very subtle, yet incredibly powerful, begins to happen. You start to sense that the things that used to define you, the ones you clung to so tightly as part of your identity, no longer hold the same weight. What once seemed essential for understanding who you are now feels less relevant, almost as if the foundation of yourself is slowly dissolving. The labels you once embraced so confidently, the roles you played in your family, your career title, your social status, your beliefs about what success should look like, and even how you interacted with others, suddenly begin to feel more like a cage than a truth. It's as if you're stepping outside of your own life, observing it from a completely new perspective. And from that place, with clearer eyes, you begin to see something profound. Many of the decisions you made along the way didn't actually come from your authentic self. They were shaped by the expectations of others, your family, your culture, your social circles, and by the subconscious programming you absorbed growing up. You followed paths that were laid out before you because you believed they were the right ones. But now, you're beginning to see the cracks in those beliefs. You realize that what you once thought was unchangeable was, in fact, just a mental construct, something you inherited, not something you chose. This is a critical point in your personal evolution. It's the moment when the illusion begins to crumble. And as unsettling as it may be, it's also an incredible opportunity. Because with that crumbling comes clarity. You might find yourself questioning your purpose in life. You might begin to reevaluate the dreams you've been chasing, only to discover that they no longer inspire you. Goals that once seemed so vital to your happiness now feel hollow, distant, or disconnected from who you're becoming. And yes, this can feel disorienting, even scary. That feeling of not knowing exactly where you're headed or who you are anymore might leave you feeling lost. But it's important to understand this. What you're experiencing isn't a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. That uncertainty is not a problem. It's an invitation. It's the doorway to uncovering what truly resonates with your inner self. What's fascinating about this shift is that it doesn't happen with a sudden dramatic event. It's not like you wake up one morning and decide to abandon everything you've ever known. Instead, it feels more like a slow erosion, something subtle that takes place within you, little by little. Each day, a small part of your old self begins to fade. A thought that once felt reassuring now feels limiting. A routine that used to comfort you now feels confining. You might continue working the same job, spending time with the same people, or living in the same home. Outwardly, things may appear unchanged, but internally, something has shifted. That sense of security you once drew from these familiar aspects of life now feels foreign, like it no longer belongs to you. And at this stage, many people report feeling an inner emptiness, a kind of identity void, as though they've lost their compass and are floating in the unknown. If you've ever felt this way, know this: it's completely natural. You're not losing yourself. You are shedding an outdated version of who you once believed yourself to be. And while this may feel unsettling at first, it's an essential part of your spiritual rebirth. You are not breaking down. You are rebuilding. You're letting go of the facade to uncover a deeper truth that has always been within you, waiting for the space to emerge. As this detachment from your former identity deepens, you begin to notice something remarkable. The things that used to trigger you, hurt you, or define your emotional responses no longer hold the same power over you. Other people's opinions, society's demands, or even your own internal pressure to succeed start to lose their grip. It's as if layer by layer, the conditioning that once shaped your world is peeling away, revealing a more honest version of you, one that has always existed, just hidden beneath the noise. Your perception of the world begins to shift as well. Conversations you used to engage in now feel shallow. The roles you used to play in social settings start to feel scripted, mechanical. You realize that many of your interactions were driven by the desire to fit in, to fulfill a part, to play a character in a story you never wrote for yourself. And suddenly, you're no longer interested in playing along. You feel like an outsider in your own life, witnessing the old narrative from a completely new dimension. During this phase, it's common to feel nostalgic for the person you used to be. You might remember times when you felt more certain of your identity, more in control. Back then, you didn't question much. You followed the rules, checked the boxes, did what was expected. But that certainty, you now realize, was a comfort born of illusion. And the truth is, it was never really you. The discomfort you feel now isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's the space where something new, something more real, can be born. Another sign of this inner shift is the fading importance of the roles that once gave your life meaning. If you once measured your worth by how successful you were in your career, how much praise you received, or how many people approved of you, those markers now feel hollow. You begin to ask yourself, did any of that truly fulfill me? And in the silence that follows that question, you hear an answer you've never allowed yourself to speak out loud before. You realize you are carrying dreams that weren't yours, chasing goals that didn't align with your soul, living a life that didn't reflect your essence. And that realization brings grief, not for what you're losing, but for what was never real to begin with. You mourn the time you spent living someone else's version of your life. You grieve the energy invested in building an identity that now feels like a mask. This is where many people are tempted to turn back, to cling to the comfort of the known, no matter how false it may be. But here lies your most important decision: to stay in the illusion, or to step into the unknown and begin again. Because that feeling of emptiness, it's not a void, it's a sacred space, a clean canvas, the fertile soil where your truest self can finally grow. And in the middle of all this confusion and transformation, something surprising starts to happen. You feel a strange, gentle lightness. It may not be strong, but it's there, like a whisper in your soul, a subtle release. As you let go of the burdens of expectation, the weight of identity, the strain of performance, you begin to feel free. You no longer need to explain who you are. You no longer feel the urge to meet every standard. You realize you can just be. You may not have all the answers yet. You might still be navigating the fog. But inside, something tells you that what's coming is more authentic than anything you've known before. And that quiet trust, that deep inner knowing, is the true beginning of your spiritual rebirth. The third internal transformation, the uncontrollable need to find a deeper purpose. After you've questioned who you really are and stripped away the labels that once defined you, something inevitable begins to stir within. It's not just a fleeting thought or a random feeling. It's a deep and undeniable sensation of emptiness, paired with an urgent need to discover something more meaningful, something more real. Simply existing no longer feels like enough. Going through the motions, living on autopilot, chasing the goals society has handed you, it all starts to feel hollow. There's a quiet, persistent whisper from deep within, telling you there is something more, something that has been patiently waiting for you at the core of your being. This shift doesn't come from the mind. It doesn't arrive through logic or rational thought. Instead, it emerges like a pulse you can't ignore, an inner calling that tugs at you at the most unexpected moments. Suddenly, the things that once seemed important, status, validation, achievement, lose their weight. They no longer move you the way they used to. In their place, a new longing is born, a desire to understand what truly drives you, what ignites your soul, what gives your life real meaning. Success, as defined by others, no longer satisfies you. The praise, the material rewards, the structured life, they all start to feel like fragments of a script you never wrote. Now, you crave something more authentic, a connection that feels honest, raw, and true. A connection between what you do, what you think, and what you offer to the world. This is often the moment when people embark on a deep, personal quest for knowledge, for insight, for something greater than themselves. You may begin to find yourself drawn to books you never would have picked up before. Ideas that once seemed too abstract or irrelevant now seem to pulse with life. Conversations that used to bore you suddenly spark curiosity. You might be pulled toward philosophy, spirituality, psychology, subjects you never thought you'd explore. It's as if your mind is expanding, being pulled toward a new dimension, shaking itself free from the inertia that kept you stuck for so long. And yet, what's most fascinating about this journey is that while you're reaching outward, searching for answers in every possible direction, a subtle realization begins to take root. The answers aren't out there. They're within you. Always have been. This isn't about finding a single universal truth. It's about discovering what resonates with you, what stirs something deep inside, what awakens that dormant spark that has been waiting for your attention. This need to find a deeper purpose isn't something you can switch off. It becomes a steady hum in the background of your life, a constant presence. You might catch yourself pondering the meaning of everything while doing the most mundane tasks, or you might find yourself oddly unsatisfied in situations that used to bring comfort or normalcy. It's as if your inner world is demanding a shift, urging you toward change, but without providing a clear roadmap. The frustration of this undefined yearning can be intense. You begin to notice that the goals that once motivated you no longer carry the same energy. Accumulating success, wealth, recognition, none of it feels complete anymore. Not because those things are bad or wrong, but because they feel like shadows of something much larger, something intangible you haven't yet uncovered. It's a sensation of walking without direction, yet feeling certain that there's a destination waiting for you. You can't see it, but you know it's there, and that knowing keeps you moving forward, even through uncertainty. This transformation also shows up in the way you consume information. You start seeking answers in places you never considered before. You explore philosophies that challenge everything you've believed. You question whether the life you've been living is truly yours or merely a reflection of societal expectations. The deeper you go, the more you realize that external answers are never enough. You read, you study, you listen, hoping for clarity. But the emptiness doesn't go away, not because there are no answers, but because your soul is guiding you elsewhere, inward. Many people become discouraged at this point. They treat purpose like a destination, like a fixed goal that must be achieved. But the truth is, purpose isn't a single answer waiting to be found. It's a continuous unfolding. It's about experimenting, feeling, aligning with what makes your spirit come alive. It's about learning to trust your intuition, to follow the signs the universe places before you. And if you pay attention, you may begin to notice patterns. People enter your life at just the right moment, bearing messages that feel tailored just for you. Events unfold in ways that force you to make pivotal decisions. Moments of silence arise, filled with a strange anticipation, as if something is on the verge of being revealed. These aren't coincidences, they're signals. They're part of a deep internal recalibration, guiding you, shaping you, helping you uncover what you're truly meant to discover. But here's the hardest part: patience. In this modern world of instant gratification, we want answers now. We want to know our purpose today. We want clarity, direction, certainty. But true transformation doesn't obey our timelines. It requires surrender. It demands that we release the urge to control and allow things to unfold naturally. It's as if life itself is preparing you for something sacred, but before revealing it, it needs to know you're ready to receive it. And somewhere in the middle of this fog of uncertainty, something begins to shift. A subtle but powerful feeling arises. Even if you don't have all the answers, there's a deep sense that you're exactly where you need to be. You start letting go of the desperate chase for an external purpose and begin connecting with what truly makes you feel alive. You find joy in the process. You start trusting the journey. And when that happens, when you stop searching and start feeling, something magical unfolds. The answers begin to appear, quietly, naturally, and without force. Fourth, inner change. Disconnection from the past and old versions of yourself. As you move forward in this transformation process, you begin to notice a natural distance growing between you and your past. It's not about forgetting what you've lived through, but about realizing that you're no longer the same person. It feels as though you're shedding old skin, leaving behind an identity that no longer fits. The experiences that once defined your life now seem to belong to someone else. You can remember who you were a few years ago, but that version no longer aligns with who you're becoming. Thoughts, beliefs, and habits that once felt permanent now begin to fall apart. What you once considered important now feels irrelevant. At this stage, your emotions also begin to shift. Old wounds don't hurt in the same way anymore. Situations that once triggered anger, sadness, or frustration now feel distant, almost as if you're watching them from the outside. It's not because you've ignored them, but because your perspective has evolved. It's as if a part of you is naturally releasing the weight of what you lived through. This disconnection from the past also affects how you relate to others. Some friendships, relationships, or dynamics that were once essential now feel forced, not because of any visible conflict, but because you no longer share the same energy or interests. Sometimes this is hard to accept, because it means acknowledging that certain connections have simply run their course. Yet the most curious part of this internal shift is that although it can bring nostalgia, it also carries a sense of liberation. You begin to feel lighter, less tied to who you were, and more open to who you're becoming. Even if you're unsure of what's next, you know you're moving towards something far more aligned with your true self. This disconnection doesn't happen abruptly. At first, it's subtle, almost imperceptible. You begin noticing small changes in how you react to situations that used to affect you deeply. Emotional wounds no longer hold the same power. Offenses that once hurt you now seem irrelevant, and the worries that once consumed your thoughts begin to lose their grip. It's as though you're watching your life from a new perspective, with an emotional distance that allows you to understand that everything you've experienced had a purpose, but you no longer need to carry it. It's not that you forget the past, but that it no longer defines you. Moments that once felt crucial now seem like mere chapters in a story that brought you here, but no longer determine who you are. This change is also reflected in your surroundings. You start noticing that people you once resonated with now seem to be on completely different paths. There's no direct conflict, just a growing emptiness in conversations, a lack of flow in interactions, a fading connection. You might try to revive these relationships, but something inside you knows the energy is no longer the same. And this is when nostalgia creeps in. Sometimes your mind tries to hold on to what's familiar, memories that once gave you comfort, versions of yourself that were accepted by others. But when you try to fit back into those spaces, you realize you no longer belong there. Not because anything is wrong with you or with them, but because your growth has led you in a new direction. This distancing from the past also shifts how you perceive your achievements and failures. What once felt like a great victory now seems like just another step. What once seemed like a huge disappointment now feels like a necessary lesson. Your view of success and failure changes entirely as you understand that none of those experiences truly define you. And here, an inevitable question arises. If I'm no longer who I used to be, then who am I now? This becomes a moment of deep introspection. As you let go of the labels and beliefs that once shaped you, you face the uncertainty of discovering your true self. But here's the key. It's not about finding a new fixed identity. It's about allowing yourself to evolve without the constraints of your past. During this phase, you may find yourself drawn to solitude, not because you feel lonely, but because you need space to reconnect with yourself. You prefer introspection over distractions. You seek answers within, rather than outside, and you feel the need to be in places that offer peace, not noise. And while this process may feel uncertain, there's something freeing about it. For the first time, you feel the freedom to reinvent yourself, to choose your path without the weight of past influences, without the expectations that once limited you. This disconnection from who you were isn't a loss. It's the opportunity to create something far more authentic. This is when you realize that the past doesn't define you. It simply prepared you for what's coming. Fifth internal shift: heightened sensitivity and a stronger connection to your intuition. As you detach from the past and the identity you once clung to, something unexpected begins to unfold. Your senses sharpen, and your intuition grows more powerful. You start to perceive the world in a deeper, more vivid way, as though something within you has awakened, enabling you to notice details that once escaped your awareness. Places, people, and situations are no longer things you just see. Now, you feel them with greater intensity. You can sense the energy of a room the moment you walk in. You pick up on people's intentions without them speaking a word. You begin to experience a profound connection to your environment. But this intuition doesn't only show up in what you detect externally. It also manifests as sudden thoughts, strange sensations, and gut feelings that defy logic yet demand your attention. Out of nowhere, you just know which path to take, who to approach, or which decision to avoid, without having a rational explanation for it. At first, this sensory awakening can feel overwhelming. You experience both the good and the bad with more force. What you once tolerated without issue now becomes uncomfortable. Sounds, crowds, shallow conversations, or spaces filled with tension affect you in ways they never did before. It's during this phase that many people feel an intense urge for calm, for nature, for spaces that transmit peace. You begin to seek more quiet moments, not because you're escaping the world, but because you need the space to process everything you're feeling. And the most powerful part of this change is that you begin to trust your intuition in ways you never have. You stop needing endless rational explanations to make choices. You can feel when something is right or wrong, even if you can't put it into words. And when you begin to follow this inner guidance, you realize that everything in your life begins to flow more naturally. This intensified sensitivity is no accident. It's a natural recalibration of your perception that takes place as part of a spiritual rebirth. It's as if, by shedding the layers of conditioning that once masked your true essence, you can now feel life more purely, more directly. Connections become more real, messages from the universe clearer, and choices more instinctive. But this transformation also brings challenges. Feeling more intensely also means you're more aware of the energies around you. Suddenly, certain people or situations that once seemed fine now feel heavy. Crowded or noisy places drain you quickly. Shallow talk loses all appeal, and you find yourself drawn to depth, to what truly nourishes your soul. What's most fascinating is that, although this hypersensitivity may feel like a burden at first, you soon realize it's actually a gift. Your intuition becomes a trusted compass, guiding you toward what truly serves your growth and away from what no longer does, and something inside you shifts. For the first time, you stop relying solely on logic to make decisions. You begin to trust your feelings. You learn to read signs, to listen to your body, to recognize when an opportunity is real and when something just isn't meant for you. The more you follow this intuition, the more aligned your life becomes. This is one of the clearest signs that you're going through a spiritual awakening. You no longer make choices based on fear or the need for external validation. You now follow a more authentic path, one guided by your own inner wisdom. And even though the path isn't always clear, you feel an unshakable certainty that everything is unfolding as it should. At this point, you look back and realize how much you've changed. The things that once defined you are gone. Life no longer feels like a loop of old patterns, but rather an open field of endless possibilities. Instead of feeling lost, you feel more aligned than ever. And even though you don't have all the answers, you've stopped searching for them outside of yourself. That's the true essence of a spiritual rebirth. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you really are. If this message has resonated with you, and you feel like you're going through this process, take a deep breath and remember, you are not alone. Transformation is not a race. It unfolds at its own pace, in its own time, and in its own way. Just like nature follows its rhythm, the seasons changing, the tides flowing in and out, your inner journey also follows a unique rhythm that cannot be forced or compared to anyone else's. There is no single path that fits all. Your experiences, your wounds, your growth, and your awakening are entirely yours, and that makes your journey sacred. Sometimes, the process may feel confusing or even painful. There might be moments when everything seems to fall apart, and you begin to question everything you once believed. But that is exactly where the transformation begins. In the darkness of doubt, the seed of wisdom takes root. In the silence of solitude, the voice of your soul starts to whisper. Trust the signs that life places in your path, no matter how small they may seem. A song you suddenly hear, a dream that stays with you after waking up, a conversation that stirs something deep inside. These are not coincidences. They are messages, subtle nudges from your higher self, guiding you gently forward. And above all, trust your intuition. That quiet inner knowing is the most honest compass you have. The mind can doubt, the world can distract, but your intuition remains a steady flame, lighting the path even in the darkest nights. You don't need to have all the answers right now. Sometimes, just allowing yourself to feel, to pause, and to be is enough. There is ancient wisdom within you, buried beneath layers of conditioning and fear. It's the same wisdom that Carl Jung spoke of, the process of individuation, of becoming who you truly are, beyond masks, expectations, and roles. As you begin to embrace your shadows, to integrate your past, and to reclaim your authentic self, you'll realize that the journey itself is the destination. So stay open, keep exploring, keep learning. Every experience is a teacher, every emotion a messenger, every challenge a doorway. Growth is not linear, it spirals. You may revisit old wounds, old patterns, but each time you return with more awareness, more strength, more light. We are here walking this path with you. This community exists to remind you that awakening doesn't have to be lonely. By sharing our stories, our questions, and our insights, we help each other remember what we already know deep down, that we are enough, that we are evolving, and that we are never truly alone. If you felt a connection with this message, consider staying with us. Subscribe to our channel for more content about spiritual awakening, personal growth, and the timeless teachings of Carl Jung. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss what's coming next. We'll see you in the next step of this journey. Within you lies a dormant force, one that has been waiting in silence, patient and still, yearning to be unleashed the moment you find the courage to release the pain you've been carrying for so long. That pain, once your constant companion, becomes a veil that dims your inner light, a weight that holds back the truth of who you really are. But the moment you begin to let it go, even slightly, that dormant power begins to stir, gently at first, then more boldly as you make space for something far greater: self-love. True self-love is not some far-off, untouchable ideal. It is not reserved for those who live without flaws or who have never known struggle. Instead, it rises from the depths of your being, the moment you stop fighting your inner pain and start embracing it, not as your enemy, but as your teacher. Carl Jung once taught that pain, when brought into the light of awareness, becomes a guiding force, leading us not toward despair, but toward the wholeness of who we are meant to be. Letting go of pain does not mean ignoring it or pretending it was never there. It means facing it with the quiet strength of acceptance. It means sitting with it, understanding its roots, and giving yourself permission to stop letting it define your story. Through this courageous process, something remarkable begins to happen. Self-love is no longer just a word. It becomes a living energy that begins to flow through you. You realize that it was never about being perfect or seeking approval. It was always about remembering your worth. This is not a superficial confidence. It's not based on achievements, appearance, or praise from others. It's something deeper, a state of being where you see yourself, all of yourself, and still choose to honor the person you are. When the pain begins to dissolve, it opens the door to a freedom you may have never known. And from that freedom, something extraordinary emerges, a relationship with yourself rooted in compassion, presence, and authenticity. As you continue releasing the pain that once bound you, a subtle yet powerful transformation begins to unfold. You start shedding the layers of judgment and self-criticism that clouded your vision. The harsh inner voice that once told you weren't enough starts to soften. In its place, a new voice arises, one that speaks with kindness, one that lifts you up instead of tearing you down. In this space of radical compassion for your own humanity, self-love is no longer a vague concept. It becomes a felt experience, changing the way you think, feel, and act. The liberation from suffering becomes a bridge, a passage into a higher frequency of being. In this new vibration, peace and authenticity are not occasional visitors. They are your natural state. The inner dialogue shifts. The words you speak to yourself carry gentleness and wisdom. Judgment fades. The inner critic loses its power. Your inner world becomes a sanctuary, and your own voice becomes your greatest ally. This new relationship with yourself becomes the fertile ground upon which a meaningful life can be built. And from that solid foundation, your external world begins to shift as well. The more deeply at peace you are with yourself, the more you begin to attract connections that mirror that same peace. Relationships rooted in mutual respect, honesty, and presence. You become a magnet for authenticity, and your very presence begins to change the energy of the spaces you enter. This healthy, vibrant energy field that surrounds you is the living proof of the transformation that occurs when pain is released and love is allowed in. And with that love comes something else: freedom from needing constant validation. You no longer look to others to tell you that you matter. You feel it from within. You know it. Your worth becomes unshakable, independent of circumstances or opinions. This is a quiet kind of power, a sacred confidence, one that does not shout, but speaks with calm certainty. It is the kind of power that allows you to walk through uncertainty with grounded grace, to stand firm even when the ground beneath you trembles. Releasing inner pain is not just an act of healing. It is a profound rebirth, a reawakening to your truest nature. In that rebirth lies the real power of self-love, a force without boundaries, a light that walks with you as you step fully into your life. As you rise from this inner liberation, your entire energy field transforms. You're no longer tethered to old patterns of self-doubt, shame, or fear. Instead, you begin to flow with a natural harmony, one that seeps into every area of your life. This vibrational renewal acts like a magnet, attracting people and experiences that are aligned with your authenticity. A beautiful cycle begins, one of growth, expansion, and aligned living. And as this energy continues to grow, so too does your capacity for forgiveness, not only toward others, but toward yourself. This kind of forgiveness is not about forgetting what happened or dismissing your feelings. It's about releasing yourself from the grip of emotional burdens that no longer serve you. It's about reclaiming your power. With every emotional knot you untangle, self-love takes deeper root, nourishing your confidence and fortifying your sense of self-worth. A profound coherence begins to emerge between what you feel, what you think, and what you do. This internal harmony leads to external clarity. Your decisions become more aligned, your actions more intentional, and life begins to reflect that alignment back to you in the form of synchronicities, opportunities, and relationships that support your soul's expansion. And yet this journey towards self-love is not a destination. It's a commitment, a conscious daily practice of choosing yourself. It's about tuning in, paying attention, offering kindness, and tending to your inner world like a sacred garden. In this space of unconditional love for yourself, you discover a freedom that no one else can give you, a freedom to be wholly and unapologetically you. This freedom is the root of a fulfilling life. In its presence, joy and peace cease to be fleeting. They become constant companions on your path. The power that rises from within when you release your pain is nothing short of revolutionary. It is the power to live from your truth, to reclaim the wholeness that has always been yours. This freedom redefines everything: how you see yourself, how you move through the world, and what you choose to allow into your life. You no longer need others to complete you. You no longer chase temporary circumstances to feel secure. You are the anchor. You are the peace. And the confidence that comes from this deep self-love is not loud or boastful. It's steady. It's calm. It holds you steady even in life's most turbulent storms. It becomes the voice that says, "You are safe. You are whole. You are enough." And with this new way of being, you begin to set boundaries, not out of fear, but out of love. Boundaries that protect your energy and honor your truth. Boundaries that create space for the kind of life and the kind of love you truly deserve. You learn to say no without guilt and to prioritize your well-being without fear. You begin to understand that loving yourself is not an act of selfishness. It's the very foundation upon which genuine love for others is built. It is only when you honor your own needs, your limits, and your truth that you are truly capable of offering love that is free, honest, and unburdened by resentment or expectation. This kind of self-love, born from a process of inner healing, becomes a gateway to an infinite well of creativity, clarity, and purpose. When you release the mental and emotional weight once occupied by pain and unresolved wounds, you clear a sacred space within yourself. And in that space, something powerful begins to emerge. New dreams, inspirations, and inner callings that resonate deeply with your soul's truest desires. Your mind becomes more open, your heart more receptive. This alignment with your inner truth strengthens your intuition, guiding you with more ease toward choices that nourish your body, mind, and spirit. Slowly, almost quietly, life begins to feel more authentic, less like something you're surviving, and more like something you're creating with intention. The energy you emit from this state of wholeness becomes magnetic. It speaks a silent language that others can feel without words. It draws in experiences, people, and opportunities that uplift and energize you, because they are now aligned with your true self. Releasing inner pain and cultivating self-love is not merely a personal achievement. It is a quiet revolution, one that transforms not only your inner landscape, but also the way you engage with the world around you. It's a threshold into a life of peace, fulfillment, and truth, a sacred gift that can only arise when you dare to turn inward, to face yourself with honesty, and to love what you find without condition. As the inner noise quiets, a different version of you begins to emerge, one that no longer needs to hide behind masks, defenses, or coping strategies. What remains is a calm, authentic presence that no longer depends on external validation or chaos to define its worth. From that place, every step you take is infused with a quiet truth, one that can be felt more than explained. This authenticity allows you to fully inhabit the present moment in a way that was once unfamiliar. The past no longer imprisons you, and the future no longer frightens you. You begin to live here, in the now, with the peaceful certainty of someone who knows that they are already enough, without needing to be perfect, fixed, or proven. That deep recognition becomes the seed of a more conscious, liberated life. And from that seed, something rare and beautiful grows: resilience. But not the hard, rigid kind, not the one born of endurance or resistance. This resilience is soft, but unshakable. It's the kind that can bend without breaking, hold without clinging, and stand without forcing. It is the quiet strength of someone who knows how to move through pain without becoming it. You learn that pain is not a prison, it's a passage. And as you move through it with compassion rather than fear, you begin to understand yourself on levels previously unknown. This self-love becomes a mirror through which your perception of others also shifts. You no longer see through the lens of your wounds. Instead, You see people more clearly, with fewer projections and more understanding. Empathy grows not from neediness, but from a deeper knowing that every soul is walking its own sacred journey, often carrying pain we cannot see. The process of releasing pain becomes a doorway to a more integrated way of living. You stop searching for pieces of yourself in other people because you no longer believe you are incomplete. You remember that your wholeness was never lost. It was only buried beneath layers of fear and forgetting. This realization is fertile ground for the blooming of a new kind of self-love, one that does not demand or cling, one that does not fear or compete. It simply is, and in its quiet existence, it transforms everything it touches. The self-love that arises from the letting go of pain becomes a powerful, guiding presence, not loud or demanding, but constant, steady. It reminds you of your inherent worth, even in your moments of doubt or despair. This inner strength urges you to care for yourself with both tenderness and conviction. You learn to set boundaries, not as walls to keep others out, but as sacred lines that protect your peace and allow your energy to flourish. The peace born from this acceptance frees you from the exhausting chase of external approval. It connects you to a quiet, rooted confidence that doesn't waver with circumstances. With this newfound stability, you begin to walk toward your dreams with certainty. Not because you're guaranteed success, but because you now understand that your value isn't tied to outcomes or applause. You walk forward because you are aligned, because you are ready, and because you trust yourself. This authentic love for yourself also transforms the way you connect with others. Relationships begin to reflect the inner harmony you've cultivated. You attract connections based on mutual respect, honesty, and authenticity, not out of need, but out of shared purpose. Interactions are no longer a means to fill emotional voids. They become sacred exchanges where two whole beings meet, support, and grow together. The vibration of self-love doesn't stay contained. It ripples outward. It touches everything you do, everyone you meet. It's reflected in the quality of your work, the depth of your creativity, and the way your presence influences your environment. Living from this place is a daily invitation to celebrate the miracle of being alive. To show up each day, not just to survive, but to express, to connect, to evolve. It is the gift that emerges when you finally release the suffering that never truly belonged to you and open your heart to the love that's been waiting patiently within you all along. And in that opening, something sacred happens. You begin to relate to your emotions not as enemies, but as messengers. Each feeling, even the uncomfortable ones, becomes a doorway to deeper awareness. You stop resisting them, and instead, you listen. Your emotions begin to teach you, to guide you, to reveal parts of yourself that longed to be seen. This conscious relationship with your inner world creates emotional stability and equips you with the wisdom to navigate life's inevitable highs and lows with grace. As you become more grounded in your worth and rooted in love, limiting beliefs begin to dissolve. Beliefs that once told you you weren't enough, or that love had to be earned through suffering. They fade because they no longer match the truth you've uncovered within. The inner voices that once questioned your worth begin to fade in the face of the undeniable truth of your authenticity and inherent dignity. This mental and emotional renewal sets you free to act from a place of personal power and inner alignment. The impact of this transformation extends to every area of your life. from how you care for your body and mind to how you choose your actions, your relationships, and your aspirations. Living with self-love means cultivating a lifestyle that honors your holistic well-being, supporting habits and choices that nourish and strengthen you on every level. This love for yourself, born from the release of pain, also connects you to a deeper sense of purpose. As you begin to see yourself as a worthy and complete being, you align with the frequencies that draw opportunities and experiences reflecting that internal wholeness. Life becomes a mirror that reflects your inner growth and invites you to expand further on this path of healing and self-discovery. Each step becomes an invitation to explore the truth of your being more deeply, embracing both the light and the shadow with equal love. The self-love that emerges from letting go of suffering becomes the firm foundation upon which you build a life of authenticity, meaning, and infinite possibility. That deep connection to your inner truth becomes a beacon, illuminating the way toward a more authentic and fulfilling existence. The clarity that rises from releasing inner pain allows you to recognize and honor your true needs, desires, and boundaries, establishing a balance that sustains your emotional and spiritual well-being. The ongoing practice of this connection with yourself generates a resilience that prepares you to face challenges with calm and confidence. Every experience, no matter how difficult, becomes an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to deepen the self-love you've so carefully cultivated. As your integrity rises, you open yourself to receive the love and abundance the universe is waiting to offer you. The energy you radiate attracts circumstances and people who resonate with your vibration, enabling relationships and experiences that enrich your journey and nourish your soul. This ongoing process of expansion and self-knowledge becomes an endless voyage, a constant invitation to explore and embrace every facet of your being. In that exploration, you discover the freedom to fully express yourself, without fear or masks, celebrating the beauty and complexity that make you unique. Thus, the self-love that is born from releasing inner pain becomes the very force that propels your evolution, a never-ending source of light and power that accompanies you every step of the way, guiding you toward complete fulfillment and deep harmony with the life you deserve to live. Every moment lived from that renewed self-love becomes a conscious act of creation, where your intention and presence merge to shape a reality more aligned with your essence. This ability to manifest with authenticity and clarity is the tangible result of the inner healing you've achieved by letting go of the pain that once imprisoned you. In this state of vibrational coherence, doubts and fears lose ground to the confidence that emerges from the depths of your being. Your inner voice becomes steady and compassionate, reminding you of your worth and standing by you in every decision, free from judgment or external pressure. This renewed relationship with yourself strengthens your integrity and creates space for a more conscious and fulfilling life. The effects of this transformation extend far beyond the personal. They ripple into every interaction, every relationship, and every project you take on. By radiating an energy that is authentic and balanced, you draw to yourself experiences and people who uplift and support your journey, forming a virtuous cycle of growth and expansion. This elevated vibration also opens the door to greater creativity and inspiration, allowing you to connect with inner and universal sources that enrich your expression and guide you toward new ways of being and creating. The connection with this creative force is a manifestation of self-love that has transcended the limits of suffering. The journey toward this complete integration is a continuous process of discovery and acceptance, where each step opens new possibilities and deepens your commitment to yourself. On this path, self-love becomes the light that guides your way, a constant presence that supports and nourishes your evolution toward authenticity and freedom. That renewed self-love translates into a vibration that touches every aspect of your life, from the smallest everyday decisions to the major life choices that shape your destiny. The inner coherence you've cultivated becomes a magnet that attracts experiences aligned with your essence, making way for a natural flow of well-being, abundance, and fulfillment. As this energy grows stronger, patience and compassion toward yourself become essential pillars. You begin to understand that spiritual and emotional growth isn't linear, but a dynamic process filled with progress, setbacks, and continuous lessons. This deep acceptance allows you to maintain a high vibration, even in moments of difficulty, by preserving the connection with your inner light. The presence of this loving energy also transforms the way you communicate with yourself and with others. Words gain a new kind of power, born from a place of respect and care. They become vehicles for strengthening self-esteem and nurturing healthy relationships. This new quality in your language reflects the coherence and authenticity you now embody. The self-love that emerges as you release inner pain also connects you with a broader dimension of awareness and purpose. You feel part of something greater, aligned with universal energies and forces that guide and sustain your evolution. This profound connection brings a sense of belonging and meaning that nourishes your soul and enriches your life experience. Every step in this journey is an invitation to deepen your relationship with yourself, to celebrate your achievements, and to embrace your shadows with equal love. The process of letting go, healing, and loving from a place of truth becomes the sacred dance that sustains your growth and leads you toward true fulfillment and authentic freedom. That ongoing embrace of your entire self, with all your light and darkness, allows you to live from a place of unshakable authenticity. A deep acceptance of who you are at every moment builds a solid foundation for forming more genuine and meaningful relationships, where vulnerability becomes a courageous act and love flows freely without expectations or conditions. The energy born from this self-love expresses itself as a presence that radiates calm and confidence, a vibration that naturally attracts those who are seeking authentic and resonant connections. There's no need to strive or force encounters. It's simply about being and allowing your essence to unfold with grace and power. In this space of integration and healing, life takes on a new meaning. Every experience, even the ones that once seemed painful or limiting, now reveals itself as an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to deepen your understanding of yourself and the world around you. The trust that arises from this connection with yourself enhances your ability to set healthy boundaries, communicate clearly, and act from a place of inner alignment. This balance strengthens your emotional and spiritual well-being, preparing you to face challenges with resilience and wisdom. The expansion that comes from living through authentic self-love opens doors to a deeper fulfillment, where inner peace and genuine joy walk beside you on your journey. This awakening is a call to honor and nurture that inner light, cultivating a life that reflects the greatness and beauty that have always lived within you. That inner expansion creates a resonance that impacts not only your personal world, but also the way you relate to your surroundings and community. The vibration you emit, rooted in self-love and acceptance, draws experiences that reflect and magnify that energy, supporting mutual growth and collective evolution. By cultivating this conscious presence, you learn to flow with the natural cycles of life, honoring the timing of each process and allowing transformation to unfold without rushing or resistance. This harmonious rhythm strengthens your connection with your true essence and brings you a sense of fulfillment that transcends the superficial. The daily practice of this deep love for yourself becomes a constant source of renewal and strength. It invites you to see each day as an opportunity to reaffirm your commitment to truth and authenticity, reminding you that the path to wholeness is a journey filled with learning, acceptance, and expansion. The effortless power of feminine energy finds its most genuine and potent expression in this self-love. From this solid foundation, every step you take becomes a conscious act of creation and manifestation, where your inner light guides and supports every movement with wisdom and grace. This process of transformation is an open invitation to all women seeking to reconnect with their essence, heal old wounds, and fully unleash their vibrational potential. It is a call to live from the heart, with courage and presence, embracing the wholeness of who you are and the strength you carry within. The resonance that flows from this state of authentic self-love has the power to deeply and lastingly influence your environment. As you remain in that energy, you create a vibrational field that inspires others to seek their own truth, igniting a ripple effect of healing and collective growth. This energetic exchange becomes an invisible thread that connects souls, encouraging a network of support and shared awakening. Respect for natural cycles and acceptance of personal rhythms allow inner transformation to unfold with patience and trust. This alignment with sacred time not only strengthens your emotional well-being, but also enhances your mental and spiritual clarity, enabling more conscious and purposeful decisions. Reaffirming your commitment to yourself each day is an act of love that nourishes your spirit and supports your evolution. This consistent practice helps you stay connected to your essence, even when external circumstances challenge your inner stability. Steadfastness on this path is key to fully integrating the light and the shadow that make up who you are. The power that stems from this self-love lies in its authenticity and its ability to manifest without effort or pretense. It's an energy that doesn't seek attention, but expresses itself through simplicity and truth, leaving a deep mark on those lucky enough to feel it. This collective awakening, driven by the feminine vibration in its highest form, is an invitation for all souls to reconnect with their inner power and walk together toward a higher consciousness. The expansion that arises from this union is the seed of a profound and lasting change that transcends generations and reshapes reality. Every step in this inner healing journey strengthens your ability to trust yourself and in life itself. By freeing yourself from suffering, you allow life to unfold with a renewed freshness, free from the burdens of the past and the doubts that once slowed your growth. This inner freedom becomes fertile ground where self-love blossoms and drives your evolution. In this state, your relationship with yourself becomes kind and compassionate. You learn to recognize your limits without judgment and celebrate your strengths without falling into arrogance. This balance lays the foundation for building solid self-esteem that doesn't rely on external validation, but grows from the honest recognition of your inherent worth. The self-love that is born from releasing pain also transforms the way you communicate, both internally and externally. Your inner voice softens, making space for words of encouragement and acceptance that strengthen your spirit. This inner shift is reflected in your relationships, where honesty and mutual respect create bonds that nourish and sustain. That internal transformation leads to a new way of inhabiting the world, where every interaction becomes a chance to express and reinforce that genuine love for yourself. The energy you emit from this deep self-acceptance creates a vibrational field that positively influences your environment, attracting experiences and people who resonate with that elevated frequency. The ability to sustain this unconditional self-love also boosts your emotional resilience, allowing you to face challenges with renewed calm and unwavering confidence. Instead of reacting from fear or insecurity, you learn to respond from a place of balance and inner wisdom, guided by the understanding that suffering does not define who you are. This new perspective invites you to care for yourself with tenderness and responsibility, establishing clear boundaries that protect your energy and well-being. Self-care becomes a sacred act, a tangible expression of the love you have for yourself to stay aligned with your path of growth. Moreover, the self-love that blooms after releasing pain fuels creativity and inspiration, making it easier to manifest dreams and goals that reflect your true essence. By connecting to this inner source, you discover a creative force that turns ideas into realities and guides you toward a more meaningful and fulfilling life. This expansive vibration also encourages a deeper connection to your intuition, reinforcing trust in your choices and aligning your actions with your soul's highest purpose. The clarity and serenity that arise from this inner state act like compasses, guiding each step and keeping you in tune with your most profound truth. That inner clarity reveals itself in a greater ability to discern what truly nourishes your soul and what distances you from your well-being. You learn to listen to the subtle signals from your body and mind, respecting their needs and natural rhythms. This mindful attention deepens your connection with the present moment and anchors you in a state of presence, which is the foundation of true self-love. The consistent practice of this self-listening and conscious care creates a virtuous cycle where energy constantly renews and expands. Each act of love toward yourself, no matter how small, becomes a building block in the creation of a strong and authentic self-esteem. This inner stability also frees you from rigid expectations and comparisons that once limited your growth. By releasing these burdens, you open up to radical acceptance that embraces both your virtues and imperfections, recognizing that both are integral to your humanity and unique beauty. The self-love that emerges from this process not only transforms your relationship with yourself, but also enriches the quality of your relationships with others. When you are at peace and aligned with yourself, you naturally attract connections rooted in respect, honesty, and genuine reciprocity. These are not superficial bonds. They are deep, soul-nourishing relationships that support your evolution and remind you of your inherent worth. In this space of harmony, compassion becomes one of your greatest tools, an energy that not only helps you forgive others, but most importantly, allows you to heal and grow within. When you turn that compassion inward, you begin to loosen the grip of harsh self-judgments and the silent punishments you've inflicted upon yourself over time. In doing so, you invite the light of unconditional love to reach every forgotten, shadowed corner of your being. There is a strength within you, a quiet power that has waited patiently beneath the surface, waiting for one sacred moment. The moment you choose to release the pain you've carried for far too long. This pain may have once served a purpose, but now it no longer defines you. Together, we've walked the path of self-love, not the kind painted by fleeting affirmations, but the kind born from a decision to stop surviving and begin living, to stop hiding and begin revealing who you truly are. When you embrace your essence with tenderness and courage, a powerful shift occurs. You begin to see yourself not as broken or incomplete, but as whole, as worthy, and as beautifully human. This awakening doesn't just shift your inner world, it radiates outward. It sends waves of peace into your surroundings. It touches the hearts of others, even in silence, even from a distance. You become a living reminder that healing is possible, that authenticity can thrive, and that love, real love, doesn't have to be earned, chased, or begged for. It already lives within you. Give yourself permission to live from that place, from that pure, unconditional love that lifts your spirit and nurtures your evolution. Every step you take from this place is a sacred act of devotion to yourself, to your journey, and to the life you are meant to live fully and freely. And if these words resonate with you, it's not by chance. It's because something deep within your soul already knew this truth. Something ancient, quiet, and wise inside of you has been waiting for this moment. There are moments in our daily routines when, despite being surrounded by people, we feel strangely disconnected, as though no one truly sees us, hears us, or understands us. The sensation of not being loved can be overwhelming. It can creep in silently and settle deep in our hearts, making us question our worth, our identity, and even our purpose. The search for genuine love then begins to feel like an endless and uncertain path, one filled with doubts, emotional wounds, and unfulfilled hopes. However, it's crucial to understand something profoundly transformative. Love, in its purest and most authentic form, is not merely an emotion we feel on the surface. According to Carl Jung, love is a profound inner process. It is not about fleeting moments of passion or idealized connections. Rather, love reflects the ongoing journey of self-discovery and inner understanding that every human being must undertake at some point in their life. When you feel loved, what you are truly experiencing is a reflection of the love that already exists within you. Love doesn't begin with another person. It begins with you. And when you feel empty, unloved, or emotionally abandoned, it's a signal, an urgent call to look inward and examine the relationship you have with yourself. Jung encourages us to dive deep into our inner world and explore how our past experiences, our hidden fears, and our deeply rooted insecurities shape the way we relate to others. Ask yourself sincerely, do you truly love yourself in the way you deserve to be loved? For Jung, real love is not instant. It's not something that magically appears when you meet the right person. True love is a path, often winding and difficult, that forces us to confront the parts of ourselves that we've suppressed, rejected, or tried to hide. He referred to these parts as the shadow, the emotional baggage, the flaws, the pain, the unresolved memories. And genuine love involves facing that shadow, acknowledging its existence, and accepting it as a vital and inseparable part of who we are. This process of embracing the shadow is not meant to break us, but to liberate us. The key to personal transformation and to the experience of true love lies in what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming who we are meant to be, the unveiling of our authentic self beyond masks, roles, or societal expectations. When someone truly loves you, they do not try to mold you into what they want you to be. They don't seek to change you in order to fit their ideals. Instead, they encourage you to be exactly who you are, to explore your potential, to walk your own path of personal growth. That kind of love is not possessive. It is liberating. It is not dependent on perfection, but anchored in acceptance. Jung believed that love is a force of personal evolution. It is a powerful tool for growth. Love, in its highest form, pushes us to go beyond our limitations. It invites us to confront our vulnerabilities instead of hiding from them. Love is not a safe haven of perfection, where everything is easy and smooth. It is a fertile ground where we can grow, where we can learn, where we can evolve, not only individually, but also in connection with another person. Seen from this perspective, love becomes a vehicle for authenticity. It becomes a mirror, a space, and an invitation to explore the depths of who we truly are and what we deeply need. That's why feeling alone or unloved is often not a reflection of others' absence, but a sign that you are disconnected from yourself. Jung taught that true love begins with the acceptance of oneself. If you don't love yourself, if you constantly criticize or reject parts of who you are, it becomes incredibly difficult to receive love from someone else. Real love doesn't come from finding someone to complete you. It comes from discovering your own completeness and then sharing that wholeness with another. In healthy relationships, genuine love expresses itself when both individuals are free to be who they are without fear of judgment, shame, or rejection. This kind of love is unconditional. It is not based on expectations or on the need for the other person to change or fix something. Instead, it is founded on mutual respect for each other's individuality, a deep understanding that every person is a unique being, worthy of love exactly as they are. When someone truly loves you, they are not there to save you or to solve all your problems. True love is not emotional dependency. It is not about losing yourself in another. Instead, it is a shared space for mutual growth. Jung believed that love is built through authentic connection, and this connection can only exist when both people are willing to confront their own fears and shadows. It takes courage, it takes vulnerability, but above all, it takes a deep desire to be real with yourself and with the other. Genuine love invites you to look within and to discover your true needs and boundaries. It's not about being perfect, nor is it about fitting into a mold. It's about being honest, brutally honest with who you are and what you need. This kind of radical authenticity is the foundation of a transformative relationship, one where both people support each other on the path to self-realization and inner growth. So, if you find yourself feeling unloved, perhaps the first question to ask isn't, "Why doesn't anyone love me?" but rather, "Am I willing to love myself the way I truly need to be loved?" Jung reminds us that true love isn't something we find out there. It's something we awaken within ourselves. And only when we allow ourselves to love and accept all the parts of who we are, without judgment, without conditions, can we begin to attract people who truly see us and appreciate us for who we are. Love, then, is not a passive experience. It is not something that simply happens to us. It is an active force. It requires daily action, presence, commitment, and above all, a willingness to grow. When someone truly loves you, they don't just show up for the good times. They walk beside you through the storms, the doubts, the healing, and the transformation. They don't avoid the hard conversations. They embrace them, knowing that love is not about keeping things comfortable. It's about turning them into something profound and meaningful. Jung saw authentic relationships as a reflection of our inner journey. The quality of the love we give and receive is directly tied to our capacity to know and understand ourselves. The deeper we go within, the more honest we become with who we are, the more meaningful our connections become. Genuine love is not merely an emotional exchange, it is a co-creative act, a shared journey toward truth, self-understanding, and authenticity. And if at any point in life you feel like love is slipping through your fingers or like it's an experience reserved for others, that may be the perfect moment to turn inward. Begin the sacred work of self-exploration that Jung so passionately advocated. Because only when you allow yourself to be fully and unapologetically who you are, without masks or pretenses, will you begin to attract the kind of love that doesn't want to change you, but embraces you entirely. This journey of self-love and acceptance won't just liberate you from external expectations, it will also free you to be loved deeply and honestly, just as you are. As we move through life, we often face inner battles that make us wonder if we are truly worthy of love. This is a deeply human feeling, and while it may be uncomfortable, it can also be the catalyst for profound personal transformation. Jung understood that love, like self-awareness, is not a destination. It is a lifelong journey. It's not merely about finding love in others, but about discovering the well of love that already lives within you. And that, above all else, is where true love begins. According to Carl Jung, the path to authenticity is not a straight road paved with easy choices. It is a deep, intimate journey inward. This journey begins the moment we stop searching outside of ourselves for what has always resided within. In our day-to-day lives, we often seek validation from others, from our relationships, our accomplishments, and the people who surround us. We chase praise, recognition, and affection, hoping they will confirm our worth. But the truth is, real love begins the instant we understand that the most vital validation is the one we give to ourselves. Self-love is not merely a phrase repeated in self-help books or motivational posters. It is a lifelong practice, an inner discipline. It means embracing not only our strengths and achievements, but also our flaws, our pain, and our unresolved parts, the shadows we try to hide. Jung, through his concept of individuation, encourages us to realize that personal growth is not a linear ascent. It's a winding, evolving journey filled with moments of pain, confusion, clarity, and sometimes even peace. It is a process in which we face the hidden aspects of ourselves, those we've rejected or feared. And healing does not come from suppressing these parts, but from integrating them into the whole of who we are. It is not about eliminating the darkness, but about learning to live with it, to see it as part of the complete human experience. Genuine love pushes us to face not only the beautiful parts of ourselves, but also the ones that make us uncomfortable or vulnerable. It shines a light into the dark corners of our being. And most importantly, it creates a safe space for us to do that inner work. Someone who truly loves you will not run from your vulnerability or your imperfections. On the contrary, they will remain present, walking with you through your pain and doubts, helping you face them with compassion instead of judgment. This kind of love is not passive. It is not about overlooking or tolerating your flaws. It is active, committed. A person who truly loves you engages in your journey toward healing and self-discovery, not to fix you, but to support you while you find your own path. This love does not fear imperfection because it understands that imperfections are not failures. They are raw pieces of the human experience, essential to our growth. When we learn to love ourselves in this way, we begin to embrace our weaknesses with curiosity instead of shame. We stop measuring our worth by standards of perfection and begin to value the honesty of our emotional experience. True love is also revealed through freedom. When someone truly loves you, they respect your autonomy. They do not seek to mold you into a version of what they want. Instead, they stand beside you, encouraging your personal growth, your truth, and your individuality. This kind of love creates a sacred space where both individuals can be fully themselves without fear of rejection or judgment. Freedom in this context does not mean detachment or distance. In fact, emotional connection flourishes when both people feel safe to be vulnerable, to express their emotions honestly, and to show up authentically. The love that offers this freedom becomes an act of deep respect. It does not control, it does not manipulate, it invites. It welcomes the beloved to walk their own path, to discover their identity, and to grow, not apart, but together. Jung teaches us that real love transforms us. It challenges us, not in a way that breaks us down, but in a way that calls forth the strongest, wisest parts of who we are. It asks us to stretch, to evolve, to leave the comfort zone of the familiar self and enter the vast, unknown territory of who we might become. But this is not a destructive challenge. It is a sacred one, a love that pushes you not because it demands change, but because it believes in your potential and inspires you to rise into it. The person who truly loves you doesn't see you as broken or incomplete. They don't seek to repair you. They see you as someone full of potential, someone in the process of becoming. And it is this kind of love that ultimately leads us to transformation. Through love, we gather the strength to face our shadows, to acknowledge our limitations without shame. We begin to integrate all the rejected parts of ourselves. We learn to welcome not just our light, but also our darkness, knowing that both are essential to becoming whole. With this integration, we draw closer to our truest self, the self we were always meant to become. Love becomes a mirror. Not only does it reflect who we are now, but it also reveals what we are capable of becoming. Real love does not settle for superficial comfort. It delves into the psyche, into our fears and our longings. It shows us the walls we've built from fear and insecurity, and in showing us those walls, it gives us the courage to tear them down. But make no mistake, this journey of transformation is not quick, and it is not easy. As Jung once said, the path toward authenticity is long and full of challenges, but true love walks alongside us, not as an easy solution to all our problems, but as a powerful force that urges us to confront life's trials with courage and a deep understanding of ourselves. Through this transformative journey, we come to know what it truly means to be loved, not for the mask we wear, nor for the roles we play, but for who we really are in the deepest layers of our being. When you feel unloved, the first step is to turn inward. Jung reminds us that everything we need is already within us, waiting to be discovered and embraced. Only when we allow ourselves to love who we are, without judgment, without rejection, do we become capable of receiving genuine love from others. In this way, love becomes a shared path where two individuals meet to grow and evolve together, acknowledging and accepting both their light and their darkness. True love doesn't always appear the way we imagine. It's not a fairy tale or a flawless story that flows without conflict. In fact, genuine love is a landscape where both beauty and imperfection grow side by side. Every relationship that deepens in love will inevitably face moments of tension and hardship. This doesn't mean the love is weak. On the contrary, it's through these trials that we begin to uncover the essence of who we are. Difficulties don't destroy love. They create the very space in which real connection is forged. Jung emphasized the importance of confronting the unknown and not fearing the parts of ourselves that we've hidden in the shadows. In this sense, love becomes a tool of self-discovery, a mirror that reflects aspects of ourselves we might have preferred to ignore, but which are vital for our personal evolution. A truly loving relationship invites us to face what we would normally avoid: our fears, our insecurities, and our vulnerabilities. When someone genuinely loves you, they don't flee from these parts of you. Instead, they stand by your side as you learn to accept and grow from them. Authentic love is not a refuge from suffering. It is an invitation to grow through it. It does not shut down in the face of adversity, but rather meets it head-on with strength and understanding. Hardships, crises, misunderstandings, and challenges are not the end of love. They are the storyline through which it deepens and solidifies. Jung teaches us that pain, temporary disconnection, and conflict resolution are opportunities to take a relationship to a higher level. It's in those difficult moments that love reveals its true strength, turning trials into opportunities for transformation. This also means that love is not something static. Rather than being a permanent state of bliss, real love is fluid. It evolves, adapts, and strengthens over time. Just as we grow and change, so does the love that binds us. It is not based on attachment or the need to preserve an idealized version of the relationship. Instead, it's grounded in flexibility and acceptance. It adjusts to the shifts of life and the internal transformations of each person. True love, then, is not about expecting perfection. It is not a relationship defined by the absence of conflict. Instead, every disagreement becomes an opportunity for greater understanding. Jung invites us to see love not only as a safe haven, but also as a space where people can grow freely, explore their potential, and perhaps most importantly, be seen and accepted for who they really are, without masks or pretensions. When you truly love someone, what you're really doing is accepting them completely, their strengths and their flaws, their fears, and their moments of vulnerability. Genuine love doesn't thrive on what is perfect or polished. It lives in the hidden corners, the unseen places, and the quiet gestures of everyday care and support. It's found in simply being there when you're needed the most. And while love can be hard, it's also the place where we find the greatest strength to keep going. Jung understood that love is not only an emotional experience, but a deeply psychological and spiritual one. It integrates every part of our being, guiding us toward wholeness. It challenges us to bring together the fragmented parts of ourselves. In this way, love is not just about merging with another person. It's about reconciling with those inner aspects of ourselves that we've neglected or rejected. When we love, we face not only the other person, but ourselves. And through that confrontation, we find greater inner peace. Someone who truly loves you provides the space for this integration. It's not just about emotional support or affection. It's about a deep commitment to your growth. This person is willing to walk beside you on your path of self-understanding and self-acceptance. They encourage you to be yourself without changing to meet someone else's expectations. As you move forward in this journey, love becomes a guide, a force that helps you discover and embrace your authentic self. This kind of love, though at times painful or difficult, becomes a vehicle toward true freedom. It's not possessive or controlling. Instead, it respects the other's autonomy and nurtures the freedom to be. It doesn't demand that someone fit into an idealized mold. It invites each person to express themselves fully, respecting the uniqueness of their human experience. What truly matters in a deep, loving relationship is the ability to be vulnerable together. Rather than hiding our weaknesses, true love welcomes them. Vulnerability becomes a shared space for growth, where both people can explore who they are without fear of judgment or rejection. This kind of love doesn't rely on perfection or image. It's grounded in the mutual acceptance of our shared humanity. In the end, that is the essence of true love. From Jung's perspective, love is a deeply transformative experience, one that involves self-awareness, vulnerability, growth, and ultimately, freedom. It's not something passive or superficial, not a fleeting feeling or a romanticized illusion. Rather, it's a deliberate and ongoing commitment to the journey of discovering one's true self and allowing another person to do the same. It is an active, courageous act of walking alongside someone while they navigate their own path toward authenticity. When we truly love someone, we are not merely accepting what is on the surface, the visible traits, behaviors, or roles they play in society. We are embracing the depths of their being. That includes their dreams, fears, desires, their shadows, and their light. Real love sees beyond the mask and into the soul. It recognizes the chaos, the contradictions, and the beauty within that person. And in doing so, it becomes a mirror through which we can also see ourselves with greater clarity. It's through this kind of profound, conscious love that true transformation occurs, both within the individual and in the relationship itself. Throughout life, it's natural for us to seek love in others. But Jung reminds us that the true key is not merely to receive love from someone else, but to learn how to give it fully, openly, and just as importantly, how to receive it without resistance. Many of us are raised with the belief that we must be strong, independent, and self-sufficient, that we must face the world behind a wall of strength and composure. Vulnerability, in that context, is seen as a weakness, but this belief prevents us from truly experiencing the depth of love. Real love requires openness. It demands the willingness to be seen as we are, with all our complexities, imperfections, and contradictions. Only when we allow ourselves to be truly vulnerable, when we drop the defenses and let someone in, can we access the transformative power of love. Genuine love isn't a transaction. It's not about giving in order to get something in return. Instead, it's a sacred space, a living, breathing connection, where love flows freely and continuously between two people. It is an act of generosity and trust, where both individuals offer themselves fully without holding back and without fear of loss. However, this does not mean love should be limitless or unconditional to the point of self-sacrifice. Jung emphasized the importance of boundaries, healthy, self-respecting limits that protect our individuality. Love does not mean losing ourselves or giving up who we are in order to please another. On the contrary, real love nurtures each person's individuality. It supports autonomy while also strengthening the bond between the two. When someone truly loves you, they don't just celebrate your victories, they also stand by you when you fall. They don't judge you for your mistakes. Instead, they help you learn from them. That kind of love creates a safe, accepting space where you can grow, where your failures are not a source of shame, but an opportunity for understanding and evolution. The acceptance that comes from someone who loves you deeply is not based on who they want you to be. It's based on who you truly are, and perhaps even more importantly, on who you are becoming. This kind of love, the love Jung spoke of, does not chase perfection. It embraces imperfection as part of the human experience. In fact, it is precisely through our flaws, our cracks, and our broken pieces that the deepest connections are often formed. True love doesn't try to fix you or mold you into someone else. It sees your potential and gently, persistently inspires you to grow into the best version of yourself. According to Jung, a romantic relationship is like a mirror. Through our partner's eyes, we begin to see ourselves differently, sometimes in ways we had never imagined. We discover parts of our personality, our emotions, and our unconscious self that we had never faced before. Love, in its most profound form, doesn't just teach us about the other person, it teaches us about ourselves. In the act of loving and being loved, we come face to face with our inner world, our unspoken fears, hidden desires, and long-forgotten shadows. And because we are held in love, we are able to explore these parts in safety and without judgment. Jung believed that each of us, throughout life, is searching for a reflection of our psyche, a relationship that shows us who we truly are. Love serves as this reflection. It reveals both what we have accepted about ourselves and what we have rejected or denied. And in doing so, love becomes a powerful force for integration, a psychological and emotional process through which we become more whole. We begin to live more authentically, more completely, because we are no longer divided within ourselves. Through this journey, love becomes more than just a connection between two people. It transforms into a sacred tool for personal evolution. It reshapes not only how we relate to others, but how we relate to ourselves. Deep connection with another human being can only emerge when we have started to truly know ourselves, when we begin to accept our fears, our shadows, and our limitations without running from them. Genuine love calls us to show up in full vulnerability, not hiding behind roles or masks, not trying to be what others expect, but daring to be our true selves. Only when we strip away the layers of ego and insecurity can we truly enter a relationship that is not built on illusions or fantasies, but on the essence of who we are. This kind of love requires bravery. It calls on us to be courageous enough to reveal our hearts, even when we are afraid. Vulnerability, rather than being a weakness, becomes the very foundation for intimacy. And make no mistake, this kind of love is not easy to find, nor is it easy to sustain. Real relationships, the ones that go beyond surface attraction, demand effort. They require conscious daily work from both people involved. Love is not about instant gratification, nor is it about the constant pursuit of pleasure or comfort. It is a living, evolving process built day by day through patience, mutual respect, and deep understanding. Each small gesture of kindness, every word of support, every moment of emotional connection. These are the bricks with which love is built. And as time goes on, these acts accumulate to form a strong, enduring bond. Love becomes not just a reflection of what we give each other, but also a mirror of our shared willingness to grow, to evolve, and to rise together, individually and as a unit. True love, in this sense, is not about possession or dependency. It is about freedom. The freedom to be yourself fully and the courage to allow the other to do the same. It is not about completing one another, but about walking together in a journey where both people are whole and evolving. It is not rooted in control or fear, but in the deep, spiritual understanding that transformation is possible through connection, through honesty, and most of all, through love. As Carl Jung understood it, love is not something static. It's not a momentary emotion that simply arises and fades away. Love is a living, breathing force that we must actively build, nurture, and protect. It challenges us to grow, to stay fully present, and to understand that the most profound and meaningful relationships are those that demand our time, our energy, and, most importantly, a constant willingness to be truly authentic. Love, in its highest form, is not just about another person. It's about who we become in the presence of love. It becomes a powerful process of self-transformation, one that influences not only how we relate to others, but how we relate to ourselves. This kind of love invites us to look inward, to confront our limiting beliefs, to release the fears that keep us small, and to fully embrace our humanity in all its complexity. Genuine love allows us to see ourselves as we truly are, both the light and the shadow, and to accept that entire spectrum of who we are without judgment. Real love is not a quick fix or a romantic escape. It is a deep and sometimes uncomfortable journey towards self-knowledge and radical acceptance. It opens our eyes to what lies beyond our insecurities and reminds us that what really matters is the authenticity with which we offer ourselves to life and to others. When we begin to love ourselves fully, when we treat ourselves with kindness, compassion, and truth, we prepare ourselves to both receive and give love in its truest form. And it is only then, when we are whole within, that we attract relationships that do more than just fill a void. They inspire us, challenge us, and elevate us into the best possible versions of who we are meant to be. True love, in its deepest essence, is not merely an encounter with another person. It's an encounter with our own soul. It's not something we chase in the outside world. It is something we cultivate within ourselves. Jung believed that in order to love another authentically, we must first accept and integrate all parts of our being, the beautiful and the broken, the light and the dark. As we learn to embrace our shadows, the parts of us we hide, deny, or fear, we begin to understand others with more compassion and clarity. And it's from that place of wholeness that we can build relationships that nurture us, teach us, and support our evolution. Genuine love isn't about finding someone who completes us. It's about finding someone who, alongside us, is willing to grow, to heal, and to expand, who sees us not only for who we are, but for all we are capable of becoming. True love is a sacred pact, not just with another person, but with ourselves. It's a mutual commitment to walk the path of transformation together. It's a journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance, a path that leads us to live with more integrity, more truth, and more courage. It means no longer hiding behind masks or pretenses. It means daring to be seen, heard, and known for who we really are. And when we truly love ourselves, when we dare to be authentic and unapologetically us, we naturally begin to attract the right people. People who are also ready to walk this journey with open hearts and open minds. The most meaningful and deep relationships are not built on perfection, but on vulnerability, mutual understanding, and an unwavering support for each other's personal growth. These relationships become mirrors of our inner journey. Just like the love we develop toward ourselves, they are a reflection of our individuation process, a sacred unfolding towards self-realization and authenticity. And that's why it's so important to understand that love is not a magic cure for all our problems. Love is not a fairy tale ending. It is, however, one of the most powerful tools we have when it's lived from a place of truth. Love transforms us. It pushes us to evolve. It challenges us to become better, more conscious human beings. It invites us to face our limitations, to embrace our inner darkness, and to stretch beyond the comfort zones we've outgrown. As Jung once said, love is not a final destination. It is a continuous journey, a sacred path that brings us closer to ourselves and to others in the most genuine way. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on how love shows up in your life. Are you allowing yourself to be vulnerable? Are you loving yourself in the way that you truly deserve? Real love always starts within. And only when we dare to be authentic, when we truly accept who we are, can we draw in the kind of love that mirrors that same depth. If you believe this message might help someone else, I encourage you to share it. Together, we can build a community where love, authenticity, and personal growth are the foundation of our relationships. Please feel free to leave a comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts. What does love mean to you? How are you living it in your life? Your experiences could be the inspiration someone else needs on their path. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now is the perfect time. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video that helps you grow and evolve. Share this video with your friends, your family, or anyone who might need to hear this message. Together, we can reach more people and make a positive impact in their lives. Thank you for being a part of this journey, for being part of this community. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring how to transform ourselves and live a fuller, more authentic life. And always remember, true love begins with you. See you soon.